Today's episode, we're going to learn how to respectfully disagree with someone. Okay. So, a lot of people seem to struggle with this these days. We can't have a conversation with someone who has different views than us. The second someone disagrees with someone, they get defensive, they get sarcastic, they get emotional, they start insulting people, or they completely dismiss them like they're not a real person. They stop listening, they start performing and acting out and pretending that the other person is a terrible person simply because they have a different viewpoint than they do. And instead of trying to understand, they try to win an argument. And that's a huge problem.
Do you know the most overlooked cause of problems in relationships? No, it's not getting married. It's that one of you may have married a bad person. Now, that doesn't mean they rob banks. It means they don't care enough about what you need in a relationship to make the necessary changes. Now, they will never come out and say that. Those facts are usually hidden behind a group of defensive patterns that include gaslighting, victim blaming, crying, the usual games. I had a very bad pattern that I could not seem to shake. If my husband confronted me about anything that concerned my behavior, I would become reactive, defensive, start an argument to avoid the truth and accountability. Your situation may be that she gives the silent treatment, calls you names. What I came to realize is that after every one of those dramatic episodes, I always felt ashamed and sad that I kept defending things I actually wanted to stop doing.
The second someone disagrees with someone, they get defensive, they get sarcastic, they get emotional, they start insulting people, or they completely dismiss them like they're not a real person. They stop listening, they start performing and acting out and pretending that the other person is a terrible person simply because they have a different viewpoint than they do. And instead of trying to understand, they try to win an argument. And that's a huge problem. If you cannot disagree with someone without becoming hostile, it's a very weak approach, very weak-minded approach. Does not show mental fortitude. It does not show cognitive thought. It does not show reasoning. It's a bad place to be, plain and simple. Respectful disagreement is not about being soft. That's not at all what we're talking about. It's not about surrendering your views or giving up on what's important to you. It's not about fake politeness. It's about having enough discipline to tell the truth without turning every disagreement into a war. Really straightforward. Research on conflict suggests that intellectual humility, perspective taking, and constructive listening are associated with better conflict outcomes and fewer destructive responses. So, today we're giving you 5 ways to disagree with someone respectfully without lowering your standards or losing your backbone. All right, let's just get into it. Tip number 1, your job is to try to understand. Go into it trying to understand them, not just trying to win an argument. This is the first mental approach we have to change. Most people go into a disagreement with one goal: beat the other person. People want to dominate. They want the better line. They want the knockout punch. They want to make the other person look stupid. That mindset kills productive disagreement before it has ever started. And when you go into conversations with people that see things differently than you, thinking you're right, judging them, being ready to wage war, you're already cooked before it started. It does not mean you become passive. That's not what we're saying. It means you stop acting like you already know everything without actually knowing everything. So when someone says they disagree with you, instead of launching into an attack, insulting them, or trying to prove them wrong, why not try this? Tell me how you got to that viewpoint. What do you think I'm missing in my argument? That changes the whole tone, right? Real world example. You're talking politics, parenting, religion, leadership, money, whatever it is, doesn't matter. A bad response to someone is, that's ridiculous. Here's why you're wrong. A better response is, walk me through why you see it that way. Explain to me why you see it that way, please. It's not weakness. You're actually in control and you're getting information from the other party and learning. At least you're learning their viewpoint. That's a good thing. All right, number 2, make the other person feel heard before you make your point. This is something a lot of people miss. Even when we're listening, People often assume we are not if we disagree with them immediately. A 2024 study found that speakers routinely rated disagreeing listeners as worse listeners, even when those listeners showed objective signs of listening well. That means if you want a disagreement to stay productive, you have to work harder to show the other person that you actually heard and listened to what they said. This is where active listening comes in, and it matters a lot. Active listening is not just silence while you reload your argument. It means you reflect back on what you heard so the other person knows you understood it. The NIH's Stat Pearls Review describes active listening as acknowledging what was said and providing feedback to ensure mutual understanding. And other research links perceived active listening with more positive emotional responses. So, we're going to listen to what they say, we're going to paraphrase it back to them, and we're going to get agreement before we jump in with our points or our arguments. Let me make sure I understand you, and then you recap what they say. What I hear you saying is, recap what you just heard. It sounds like your main concern is, here's where you're paraphrasing their point back to them. It does not mean you agree with them. It means that you're disciplined enough to have listened and understand what they're trying to say before you respond to it.